We are all right. My brother Sincere, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, Joe?
Yo, I am so excited. We've got a very special guest this evening. This
Absolutely.
man is a pioneer. He's an inventor, Grammy award-winning DJ, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee. He received an honorary doctorate degree. He is the blueprint. We are blessed and to have the legendary Grandmaster Flash.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Right
Thank you.
on.
So I'm gonna let you
Thank you.
guys. I'll answer the questions the best I can.
All right, great. Once again, thank you, Grandmaster Flash, for the opportunity. We definitely want to get a better understanding of hip hop's birth date of 1973, as well as how you played a crucial role in hip hop's formative early years. If we can go back a little bit, 1960s late, going into the 70s, you're a teenager. Talk a little bit about that transition of music. What do you remember witnessing and hearing as far as the music from the 60s going into the 70s?
Well, I'll let you know as a as a child in this Sadler residence. Me, myself, and my baby sister was not allowed to go into the living room to touch the brown box, and it was this closet where Dad used to keep his music. And I personally was why was not I not allowed to go in there. I had older sisters, so what I did was I would watch Dad. Dad would come home from work. He'd go to the kitchen table. Mom would feed him. He'd get his spirits, and he would go over to this closet, right? And in this closet, he would bring out these square objects that had pictures of like trains or hats or trees or pictures of people. And I was wondering why was he going into the living room near the brown box with this square thing, and he would pull out these round black disc. So since I was not allowed in the living room unless I was accompanied by an adult, my dad's an adult, so I went in the living room with him and I watched him. And he would take this black disc and he would put it on top of the stick and he would press his button and his arm would go up and the black disc would go down and the needle would go down on the record and sound would come out of this brown box. I thought my dad was some kind of magician. I'm like, this is totally, totally incredible. So I said to myself, wow, let me keep watching him. So for a couple of weeks, I watched my dad being accompanied by an adult. I will watch him go eat dinner, get his spirits, go into his closet, get these square things, pulling out the black disc and putting it into this brown box. So after some time had passed, gentlemen, I kind of said to my tiny self, what if I did it alone? So what I did was I would get a chair from the kitchen, drag it to this closet, turn the knob, open the closet up, and I remember just seeing mountains and mountains and mountains of these square things. So I took the nearest one. Now, mind you, I watched Dad for a couple of weeks now, and I would go into the living room, and I would take out the square black round disc, the black disc, put it on this steel stick, push the button, because I watched him do all this, and sound would come out of the brown box. Now, whoever was home at the time said, listen, Dad catch you, he gonna tear you out the frame like you done. So when I in my fear, I would put the black disc back into the square thing, put it back into the closet. But here's the fatal flaw to it. Dad would come home, Mom would feed him, he'd get his spirits, he'd go to the closet, and he would call all us out. Violet, Banana, Henny, Billy, Lil Joe, and he would get in front of us and say, who was in my closet? But here's the problem, gentlemen. I didn't put it back in the same place I took it out of. And he was burning the ticket. You know what I'm saying? So, that was my first love of it. But when I kept getting my bottom torn out the frame day after day after day, I used to watch Dad go to work. And I would watch him go to work. As soon as the door would slam, I would go get the chair And I would go to this closet, turn the knob, and go in there. And this was my fascination with this vinyl at a very, very, very young age. You know, I come from the projects, you know, and I can remember like mom and dad not getting along, and then dad finally left, you know, just left mom to raise us. So when I became, you know, close to my younger teens is when I started being really interested in how things work when they put that square plug thing into that slot in the wall, and things would just sort of light up, guys. So I was unscrewing the back of everything in the house: stereo, washing machine. Like I was unscrewing the my sister's hair dryers, anything electrical in the house, guys. And I would see these different color objects inside of there. I would take one out and try to put it back. Just to go turn on the hair dryer, you know, I became public enemy number one in there because they knew that it was my fascination. So to move ahead, gentlemen, mom said, you have to stop doing this because you don't know what you're doing. I'm going to send you to a vocational and technical high school. And that's when she sent me to Samuel Gompers. And this is where I started learning about Tesla, Edison, Westinghouse, Banneker, who was AC versus DC, what is solid state versus vacuum tubes, what is a diode, what is a capacitor. So now at the end of the year in high school, we had to build our own amplifiers. And once I figured that out, then I went back to my first love, getting torn out of the frame by dad. And behind the projects in the Bronx, 2730 Dewey Avenue, there was a junkyard. And guys, I would go back there and get old stereos, you know, the speakers that were in the back from abandoned cars, and kind of jury rig this and put this in a house and just try to put things together. And I can remember, guys, my friends knocking on the door, Miss Sadler, Joe come out inside to play. Guys, I really wanted to go outside and play. I wanted to go play basketball. I wanted to go smoke and act like I was grown and drink and do all the things that we teenagers used to do. But I guess I never made it outside to play, guys. It's one part of the record I would watch at my mom's parties she gave in the house. When the drum beat came, the hiney moved more. I'm saying, oh, this is the most important part of the song. I didn't give a damn about the intro. I didn't give a damn about the singing. I didn't give a damn about the whole band playing. I wanted it when the band broke down and that drummer had like little 10 seconds. I'm like, what the? 10 seconds. So in my anger, I did not go outside to play. I didn't hang out. I didn't go drink. I didn't smoke for about 3 years. I had to come up with something, guys, to isolate that small section of a song and extend it, because that was the part I used to. And mind you, guys, I grew up in a household where it was pop, rock, jazz, blues, funk, disco, R&B, alternative, Latin. So all those different genres of music, ladies and gentlemen, had these little drum breaks to them. I came up from a time when music had no color. So for me, I figured out how to buy duplicate copies of the same record, and that one area of the song where the drummer broke down, and sort of repeat that part over and over and over again, sort of like cutting and pasting. Now, never in my wildest dreams did I would think that that would become the music bed to today what we call rap. The only difference is it's done electronically. You go to a studio and you tell the computer and you put a piece of music in it and you tell it to loop this over and over again. You know, and you got your incredible producers like Premier and Dr. Dre. I can go on and on and on. You know, so for me, with all that I went through and tried to figure this out, I think the part that really perplexes me, gentlemen, is when people talk about hip hop to a fan, they talk about, yeah, the lyrics, man, the way he was going on, so and so and so and so and so. But guys, let me ask you a question. What if there was never no beat? Because before me, there was no MC, no rapping. What would hip hop be like right now if there was no beat? The recording process is this. Shout out to all the producers who don't get named. I call them superheroes. You know, they come up with the beat. They tell the rapper to come in after the fact. And the beat is done. So I'm saying to you, I'm the first DJ to make the turntables an instrument. I'm the first DJ that elongated the bed so that rappers had a beat to speak on. I am the inventor of the beatbox. And I will tell you this, I didn't create hip hop. I didn't coin the word. I built the tools. That brought us 50 years. This is my contribution to the culture.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Before you, what DJs influenced you earlier on?
When I was coming up, I would listen to the radio, and it was just these mix shows. But it was disco was big back then. And what really amazed me is how these DJs played. There'd be one song, and they'd have two songs together on time, and you couldn't tell what a song began or ended, right? I was like, oh shit. But in hip hop, we only have a little bit of time. We don't have like, you know, where the song you got 5 minutes to go from one song to the other. We got 5 seconds. So I can remember my best friend Easy Mike and the crew said, yo, Flash, just take a break for a minute. We want to take it to this other side of the Bronx and see what these other street DJs were doing. And I got to tell you, after listening to the disco DJs, I watched these other street DJs, and respectfully, for the life of me, I was wondering, why are these street DJs playing this beautiful music with just beat is running into that one and this one, you know? And I'm talking to black people right now. I'm talking to 2 black people. You on the floor, right? Right, you know, right? You got a honey with you, right? You trying to get her phone number, right? You trying to get to know who she is. The last thing you want to happen if the beat's going that, she's going to the bar. You didn't lost that situation there. So I came up with this science called the quick mix theory, which had nothing to do with color or location or creed, color, whatever. If the break had 2 to 4 bars, you wouldn't know if you're dancing to an English drummer, to a Japanese drummer, to an African drummer, to a drummer from California. That was the key to me, because listening to the disco DJs, on time was the key. But what I didn't realize is now I figured out how to take these different genres of breaks and make it one bed. I said, let me take a microphone and put it on the other side of the table and see if someone could verbalize to this.
Wow.
I heard some of the wackest people saying some of the stupidest things until this one guy, Keith Wiggins, and was Cowboy. He figured out how to complement this style of DJing by saying like nursery rhymes and throw your hands in the air and this and that and that and that. Because mind you guys, I was trying to do both, but because there's so much entail with doing what I had to do, I gave that to somebody else, because I kind of got disgusted when I first came out in the park and I came up with this system. I figured I'd have the whole park rocking. People were looking under the table, looking behind, saying, Mom, got this record back home. The drum break don't go this long. I felt like something was wrong after 3 years. And I started teaching other people how to do this. My first successful student was Grandmaster Theodore. You know, then it goes, and then I started teaching all these other DJs how to do this. And I can remember trying to get a job, guys, at a club. Some of my best friends was DJs. We could have been getting high 2 days later, but when I say to him, yo, tell your boss, man, I want to get a job. Oh man, my boss says you put your fingers on the record and you make them go backwards and you rub it and this and that, man, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm like, yo, we just got high last week, man. What are you talking about? You're my peoples. So it was pretty tough for me. Vinyl enthusiasts hated me for doing this. Anybody that cared about vinyl carefully hated me for it. A lot of DJs had to go back and retool to learn how to play this way. So once I started playing this way, I see this thing spread. Slowly but surely, I see crews putting together and they're putting their own MCs and their own rappers on this thing. But I got to tell you, I got my ass kicked for many, many a year by Dad, like coming up with this system. And then there's the beatbox, you know, and then it's the DJ playing it like an instrument. You know, all these things are my inventions. And here we are 50 years later, guys. And every time somebody walks by me and they say, what's up, legend? I'm very afraid of that. And I'll tell you why. A lot of times when you are an inventor of something, either you pass away or you walk away into the sunset. Nobody hears from you anymore. I must tell you, I've had more thank yous and more people hugging me and loving me. Like, quite frankly, when I was asked to do this interview, I was a little iffy. I'm saying, do these people care? Do they know? I'm gonna be honest, I was unsure. But what's important to me is teaching the babies. Because this thing called hip hop didn't just drop out of the tree somewhere. This is math and science. This is how I did this, you know. And I find it critically important to teach the babies because this is a Black art form. This is where this comes from, and people need to know there was a start and there was a place where this came from. So we did it as little business, and here we are, and arguably the biggest thing on planet Earth now. And I'm told I'm a major part of that. Just thinking about that. Some days I'm like, wow, and some days I say, God, why? Because that's how it was. It was a God calling. I couldn't go out and play. Couldn't go play with the honeys. Couldn't play basketball. Couldn't do all the things that teenagers did. It's in my room or in the backyard, getting junky parts and just making my makeshift sound system. That's where I was, guys.
So interesting and powerful. And yeah, we are 50 years later. It's wild that. Flash, please tell us, what was the importance of the 70s? So many decades of music. What was so important to you about it?
Some of the best bands in the world. You know, was Mandrill, Earth, Wind and Fire. I could go on and on and on. Some of the best bands came from the 70s. We're talking about the best drummers, the best horn players, the best keyboard players. Like, that's where we got our drum beats from. So when I came up with this quick mix theories thing, 4 bars of music forward, 6 counterclockwise, 4 plus 6 is 10. So when I came out that gate with this, all you had to do was just speak dope. And that's why when this thing finally became big business in the 80s, it just went out the window worldwide, because some of the greatest grooves, like Q-Tip, would grab some of the greatest grooves, Dr. Dre, and some of the greatest drummers of all time. I figure if you take James Brown's drums and you play them differently, and you put Sly and the Family Stone's rhythm over the top of it and play it differently, that shit's going to be a hit if the person's speaking on top of that. You feel what I'm saying? And that's where I come from. You know, we took the existing compositions and rearranged the arrangement. And this is why we have so many incredible producers. And those are the unsung heroes that don't get talked about, because they got to go in there and make it that. rapper got to come in here and say his raps. But a lot of times the track inspires the rapper. Just think, some of these songs that have stood the best of times, what if they didn't have the track to just sit there and listen to over and over and over and over and over and write over and over? How would that song had come out then?
Mm.
Right. Crazy. Can you talk a little bit about the blackout in '77? What came from that?
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Like I told you guys, I had a makeshift bullshit sound system. And I can remember when the lights went out that night, and mind you, all the crooks, all the thugs, all the dealers, all the number runners, all of them knew and respected me. I can remember them knocking on my doors and saying, "The Flash, can you use this?" And I'm looking at this amplifiers and equipment I know it's worth tens of thousands of dollars. They say, "Yo, we don't know what to do with this shit. Maybe this should have worked louder for me." But because of my electronic knowledge, I knew what I had. So the blackout kind of gave people like myself shopping spree. I didn't have to even move. He was knocking on the door. "I'm Miss Sadler. Maybe you speak to Joe, please." I come out in the hallway. Here's the amplifier. I go down the hallways, giant speakers. I'm like, okay, so my little cheap sound system could sound a little better. I can remember seeing people walk by with mattresses on their head, walking by like cartoons. This was crazy shit to see, man. And it didn't end. It took a couple of days for them to restore the power, but that blackout got me in a pretty decent sound system. Sure.
A lot of DJs pop up overnight over that blackout.
Yeah, I would think so. A lot of DJs, a lot of people, you want to buy a bedroom set, you want to, man, I got this car around the corner, man. I'm telling you, like, cheap, like, everything was washing machines, dryers, bedroom sets, stereos, cheap prices. We was buying. I did. Yeah.
Wow. So Flash, just hearing you speak, you were an engineer really early on, just, constructing and deconstructing. And you touched on quick mix theory. Can you go into more detail with that? Because I know the slip match, obviously DJs use now. You were obviously a creator. Well, can you break down that technology and how you came up with it?
I'll break it down. Okay. Gentlemen, the geek that I was, statistically, the brain can capture 4 bars of music before they like it. So we'll take, like, good times. 1, doom, doom. A 2, 3, 4, then it goes back, right? So this is how I was able to use what my mom, my dad, and my sister taught me about music. Don't mind where it comes from, what creed, what color. Just if it sounds good to you, just capture 4 bars. So what I figured out is, in my anger, I hated the rest of the record, but I had to figure out a way to take that one section and repeat it. So I will buy 2 copies on that. I'm going to try to expound on this. It's better that I show you, but I can't right now. And at 4 bars, I would rewind this one, throw it before it goes to the whack part, rewind the other one, throw it. So you're hearing the same groove over and over again. So if I give you a microphone, you'll be able to comfortably tell a story, because I'm like manually cutting and pasting without you knowing that I'm doing this. This is the essence of the quick mix theory. And this, in my opinion, is what hip hop is based on, this math. 4 bars forward, 6 counterclockwise. Because the average drum beat is 4 bars. You take Walk This Way, or you take 7 Minutes of Funk. The best part of it is 4 bars. Everything else, we don't give a fuck about it. You know, so I had to use crayon to mark the part because I played in dark little clubs. And I had to be able to get the needle at least near it. And once I got it near it, now it's just rewinding this one, throwing this one, rewinding this one, throwing this one. That same section. So while the rapper is doing what he's doing, they ain't got to worry about me. I got you. I'm playing Apache. I'm playing Good Times. I'm playing the Bells. I'm playing 7 Minutes of Funk. I'm going one behind another. Just say your stories. And this is something that I did when I was a teenager, but never in my wildest dreams that I would think that that would become the reason for sampling. And then the sampling turned into big business. And big business will start where we are. But maybe one time I need to actually show you what I was doing. So I would find that white record, but that drummer was a beast for 10 seconds. I'm playing that beast part. And when that part is done, I'm taking that record off. I'm putting the next record on. I'm playing James Brown. Boom. I'm playing that for a minute. And then when I'm coming off of that, I'm playing Chic. I'm going just the drum sections or the part where it's just the hottest groove. And this is the way that we did in the 70s. And this is how the rapper was born, because he needed a better music. But prior to me, there was no DJ doing this.
I'm not sure if you touched on it already. What exactly is punch phrasing or the clock theory?
Okay, so punch phrase is like Good Times. I would go, good. Like you hear good, you know it's Good Times. Boom, good, 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 good time. But I was using the clock theory because when I marked the record with the crayon and I marked the label, I knew by watching how many times it passed the tone arm, how many times it come back. And it was 4 bars forward, 6 counterclockwise. It was always that. So when most producers sample, they sample 4 bars of the break. Then it would tell the computer, repeat that. And then it would put bigger production around it to make it equalize better. But the real fact of the matter is, hip hop is the only form of music on planet Earth where we could sample a Japanese sample, German sample, or Italian sample. The genius of that producer to chop it and make it work and then put big drums around it. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. And this is why we touch so many races of people. There is no other genre on planet Earth that can touch as many people. Because you got to ask yourself, okay, if we sample the Japanese record with James Brown's drums and AC/DC's hi-hat and play it differently and then put a vocal on top of it, we've already touched people sonically. We got hit parts, if you feel me. We got hit parts already in the beat. Now, if the rapper could spit, that record's out of here. This is why so many of them records were out of here in the 80s. I'm like, oh shit, it took James and they looped it. Like I could hear it. I'm like, but a lot of this stuff was just, and even some of these records, we saved a lot of artists whose records weren't shit. They weren't hits. But the producer said, wait a minute, there's something in that. You know, there's quite a few samples. I'm saying that fucking record never worked in the streets. But a producer would touch it and make that shit right. So we saved a lot. We put the check in the mail for the people that made records that didn't go nowhere. We put a check in the mail to their families for sure.
Right.
Crazy.
Can you talk a little bit about the difference between a regular mixer and a flash former mixer?
Well, the flash former was a was a little toy that I invented. And if you couldn't transform, and Jazzy Jeff is probably the dopest at this, like he can make a record sing. You know what I'm saying? So it's this little device that I created. It was like a toy, and you press the button and you move the record, and you could transform. So it's actually was an accompaniment to the mixer. That's all it was. It was like a toy that came out for a little while. I wish I had one, but I gave mine away many decades ago. Yeah.
What year was that invented?
Oof, the 80s. Yeah, I'm bad with dates. I want to say in the 80s, mid 80s. I want to say. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you touch on block parties back in the day? So many documentaries showing epic block parties. Like, how did those come to be? You know, did you get harassed by cops? You know, was it just free flowing? About electricity? Plug in mics and amplifiers and what?
I wish to God that I could. Like, I'm planning to do a block party this year. Like, you people younger than me need to see this. A block party was like our canvas. If we went shopping for records and we gave out flyers and said we're gonna be in this park, we would play some of the records that we shopped for, see if them shits was hits. That was our canvas, our blackboard. So me, when I wanted to come out in the park with my little bullshit sound system, my problem was if we was in a park and next door was a grocery store or there was a building where people lived, I would try to ask them, like, do you think I could plug my system into your power, you know, to the grocery store? Hell no. And the person who lived on the first floor, fuck that. No, my bill's gonna go up. You know, so for me, I had to figure something out. And that's where I looked at the lamppost. Now, I don't care where you live. During the day, the street lamps are off, but at a certain time, they switch off automatically. So my common sense says, ain't nobody coming here from their crib to come shut off every fucking lamp in the street. No, something's happening automatic. And because of my training at Gompers is when that kicked in. So what I did was I went to the base of the lamppost, took a big screwdriver and like broke off the plate, and inside I'm seeing the wires. I'm saying, okay, let's find out what's happening here. How is the lights turning on at night and off during the day? And I kept searching, and I went in there with what's called a VOM meter and test the voltage. And I'm saying, okay, there's a timer. So what I did is I cut the timer, and I cut the head off the extension cord, and I wrapped the wires around it, and I put electrical tape, and I ran the wire into the park. Power. So what was cool about that though, guys, back then is I can remember playing and seeing rows of police cars parked. And not because we were starting trouble, but every thug, every dealer, every number runner was in a park jamming with us. Police had nothing to do. They had absolutely nothing to do. So they just would sit there for hours and hours until about 11 o'clock. They would say, yo, Flash, okay, man, you know, time for you to shut it off. I'd go to the lamppost, bang the bass back on, put the wires back, like never happened. Put the sound system in the shopping carts and walk home, man. Wasn't no Uber. Shit, we had shopping carts there. Yeah.
Wow.
Incredible.
Incredible.
You know, so I look around now and I say, this thing we did in the 70s. Never in my wildest dreams, man.
Right.
But what we did, touch so many people. Yo, guys, man, 3 years and some change, this shit could have missed. And what happened was, it wasn't, yay, that shit is dope. It was like, why the fuck is he doing that shit? How is he keeping that one area? How is he keeping that part going like that? So it was just like that Stephen Curry daylight. All he needs is just a little bit of daylight to shoot from the parking lot. So that's pretty much what we had. And then it caught on like wildfire. You know, so from hitting me, putting my fingertips on the record and putting crayons, I was hated. Then eventually I was loved. But here we are.
So was Dewey Ave in the Bronx the main spot to be heard?
Dewey Avenue is where I was getting my ass torn out the frame by Dad. That's when I was like, a toddler. Now that's where I come from, 2730 Dewey Avenue in the Bronx. But behind the projects, it's beautiful now when I go back there. But before then, it was abandoned cars, old stereos, old washing machines. So a lot of my parts, I grew up poor. I ain't gonna front. We was on welfare and the whole shit. A lot of my parts come from there. Once I understood what I had to look for to build my little system, most of my parts came from the junkyard. Real talk.
Can you talk a little bit about the origins of Being Heard, the mixtape? How did that start and how did it circulate?
The mixtape would have, like the mixtape today is kind of, to my understanding, it's an album that's not quite an album. It's a selection of songs from a new and upcoming artist. Am I correct or am I not correct?
2023 terms?
Yeah. Is it like, what would you say would be in a mixtape today?
An unofficial album release
Okay.
with album cuts, yes.
So for me and a few people came up with this term called mixtape. It is a DJ mixing songs on a tape. So my clientele was big in Harlem. And these are the people that were the service people. I call them that. Had more money than they can possibly count. So they would say, "Oh, Flash, we want you to make a tape and just shout our name throughout it so that when we driving through our territories, all they hear is their names and hot tracks." So I said to this gentleman, the only way I would take my time to program and put this together is if you paid me $1 a minute. So 90-minute cassette was $90. A reel-to-reel tape was $360. And that's how I made my living through tough times. Playing some of my secret beats, some of my secret tracks, and I would tell them in their face, do not duplicate this, do not copy them anywhere. And that's why I charge them so much. I'm saying now, you got something that nobody has. So the 60 minutes and the 90-minute cassette tapes is going out the window, and 360 tapes was going to my service people, my street service people, big names.
Wow. Around what time did you really feel it was taking off? To be there at the beginning, when did you really feel like, we're on here?
That took me a long time because I wasn't sure if this thing was going to move outside of the 5 boroughs. I just wasn't sure. And I think it wasn't until I realized that people were listening to this through the mixtapes. These tapes are going all through America, and then eventually they were going overseas. But then I didn't really believe in it until I seen like rappers getting major record deals. Seen them on the covers of Rolling Stone, Run DMC. And then all these movies started coming out. I'm like, there's something happening there. But for someone who's seen it all, I'm hard to convince. I have to be absolutely sure. And people got to tell me absolutely that this is it. So it took me a very long time to really understand this because it took so damn long for people to say that this is the shit. Why did it take 50 years? Why we didn't do it in 10? 5? Why do we have to wait till 50? So for a long time, to answer your question, I just wasn't convinced. So just recent, it's like
Wow.
now I could. Before COVID, I was flying to 150 countries for the past 18 years. I done seen every culture, every language, every genre of people recite records in front of me. But if I try to carry a conversation and they don't speak the language, like this thing is so powerful, so powerful. And to be one of the people that actually did this from the beginning, it's like I'm just humbled. I can't lie to you. God is absolutely wonderful. You know, I've been doing this a very long time. I am blessed to have seen all the dynasties that I've seen, to know them. Like when I'm bored, I go see Dr. Dre. I go to his house. Just the other day, I was sitting at the Grammys talking to Jay-Z, like, what's popping? What's next? It's just,
So dope.
it's just life is so wonderful. You know, I think the only sad part about this, guys, is I probably wasn't the best on-site father. Like the world kept calling me. The world kept calling me, and my toddlers were slowly turning into adults. But Germany was calling me. You know, they're getting tall. They're getting taller. London is calling me. Japan is calling me. Australia is calling me. You know, and it took me a long time to get to get my family, my babies, to understand. Like, I did this for y'all, man. So if y'all ever need, this is what it was. But the hard part about it was nothing, no blueprint, nothing before it. So it was really hard to explain to them why I kept leaving, and who's calling you. You know, it was really tough trying to balance. You guys got children?
Yes. Yes.
You know, like all this baby mama. You know, you cut that head off. Y'all know how that go. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So my children are grown now, and I have my grandchildren, and I don't tourist much anymore because I want to watch them grow up. You know, I'm good. You know, I don't want for nothing. God has been quite wonderful, and it's just I'm probably loved more now than I've ever been. There's people that walk around me and say things to me that I almost forgot about. And there was times when I used to think nobody cares. Does anybody care that I built the tools of this, or do they even know? You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So my apologies to you. Well, we could have done this earlier, but I'm getting pulled from here to there to here to there, and I want to be of service to all of y'all. Because all of y'all make me who I am. But I'm only one person. You know,
Right.
I just wanted to formally apologize because I know we were supposed to do this 2 times before. You know, but it's a lot of people want to go into my scientific thinking, so you know, because I don't think black, white, foreign, American. I judge people as people. So they want to know why I think the way that I think. I just do, guys. You know, some of my best friends is white. Some of my best friends is from England. I got some good friends in Germany. I judge people as people. So people want to know how I think. I don't think normal. I think servant. What are you thinking? And how can I serve you? What are you thinking? And how can I serve you? That's how I live.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely.
You know, earlier in the comment on people coming up calling you legend, and not how to feel about that. With the accolades still pouring in, I mean, you're talking about, we know you've got the you were on the Masked Singer. Has it settled down? You settled down into this legendary status? We all,
I'm working on it.
you know,
It's still a process. You know, because how do I say this? Sometimes I just want to be Joe. And some people walk up to you and says, no, you're not. I'm saying to them, Joe, like especially if I got my grandchildren's with me or I'm with my daughters, I just want to be with my daughters. And some people will say, y'all don't mean to bother you. Can I just take a picture? And we might be in the mall. So I run to a corner and say, all right, come on, take the picture real quick. Because when I'm with my family, my loved ones, I kind of take the cape off and I just want to be a guy in the mall, want to go buy a pair of jeans. People just keep telling me over and over, you're not normal. I say, yes, I am. They say, no, I'm not. So I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it.
So, Joe alluded to some great things you have going on recently, as well as in 2023. Let's talk about those while we got you here. You kicked off your podcast, QMT Radio, December 23rd. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Okay, so what happened? This is a good friend of mine, Jazzy Jeff, was telling me, he said, Flash, like out of all the DJs from hip hop, from the old school, toward the most is probably me and Jeff. Right, so Jeff was telling me this thing called streaming. I'm like, what's that? He says, well, we tour, 1 minute I'll be in Germany, he'll be in Italy. I'll be in Portugal, he'll be in wherever. And we did this for many, many, many years. So he said, Flash, there's a way you could play the whole world from your crib. I'm like, well, I'm a scientist. Tell me more. So tells me more. So what I did is I came up with QMT Radio, QMT Podcast, which is Quick Mix Theory. And one of the shows comes on Thursday, 8 p.m. And I'm picking a second hour during the day because I got to be able to get my overseas hour people because they're 6 hours ahead. So I got to find a day period so that I can get my people over there and get my people over here. And it gives me a chance to play almost anything. It's absolutely wonderful. And I'm real good at it. I'm actually new at it, but I'm real good for it. And I also like to lecture now. I lecture really heavy now. Like back in the days, used to be, if you got a beat, you would scratch the label up and put something on it and hide it. Now I just want to just say, here it is. So now I talk about my science and my quick mix theory, and I lecture very, very heavy these days because I want to share it. I'm proud of it. I'm so glad I was a part of it. I'm so glad that people enjoy it.
Absolutely. You also got with Super 7. I ran out and got my action figure.
Why you want to go there?
As soon as I heard about it, talk a little bit about Super 7 approaching you and how that all came about and why you trusted them with your brand.
Well, I think they had been hawking me for like a year or so. I'm like, no, I'm not really into that. Not really into that. And they kept coming at me, and eventually they wore me down, and I said, okay. So I said, you could only make, a couple of hundred? And that's it. And I said, well, who else you got? They got Biggie, Run, a few people. I'm like, well, hopefully I can sell a couple. And flew off the shelf for a week. Gone. So now they're calling me and asking me, can we do it again? It just goes back to, when you just ain't sure if people remember if they love you or that they care. I'm very mild-mannered. If you don't know, I'll walk right by you and just like a regular dude. Or if you go, you're Uncle, nah, man, that's my brother. That's not even me. I know this is something that I do, and it's not who I am. So I turn it off, and I become grandpa. I become daddy. I become uncle. When I go in, when God calls on me, I can't take this with me. So happy to be the servant that I am, because that's what I am now.
Right. Absolutely. Flash, can you touch on that Grammy performance? I know you were talking about chopping it up with Jay. How was it performed? How was that experience?
Questlove called me, and he says, I want to try something. during my performance, you know, because he's from the Roots, as we all know. He said, we want to do something a little different, chronologically speaking. So I say to Quest, tell me more. He says, but the only way I could do this is if I start with you. And then I want to go through the years. I'm looking at him like, how are you doing this? Because TV time, that shit is like, that goes in seconds. So 3 minutes, if they say you're on for 3 minutes and in 3 minutes you can't go on 3:30, they going into the commercial. TV time, too short. They say, Flash, I'm going to give everybody a section of their song, one behind another. I said, count me in. Let's do it. You know, so we get to LA. You know, we rehearse a few times. I see the old boys. Haven't seen in a long time. And I'm seeing people like in a hallway, Nelly, and he's, yo, Flash, thank you, so and so and so. We chopping it up. I see LL, I see Buster, I see the Locks, I see Paz from De La Soul. I'm seeing all these people saying, damn, thanks, Dad. It was fun doing the performance, but it was really touching to see some of these people that I had never formally met, or some of these people I hadn't seen in a very, very long time, guys. It was like, I thank Quest for that, because I don't know how he pulled that off. Got all the different people from different places to come do this thing. And when I'm told, they said that was the best shit on that night. I'm like, whoa. And I got to pull out the beatbox. I didn't want to play. I said, yo, Quest, I didn't want to DJ. People know me for that. I'm good with my hands. I want to play the beatbox. He said, you want to bring out the beatbox? I said, yep, that's going to be my little 10 seconds of fame, the beatbox. So I was able to do that. And it was really wonderful, guys, you know, and to be around to see all of this, to still be here, man, it's wonderful, man. That's all I can tell you guys, man. It's wonderful.
Before we get out of here, you got to tell us how The Masked Singer went for you.
Oh, that was some. I've had some experiences in my life, right? I don't get a chance to watch TV a whole lot. I'll keep that real with you. Either I'm traveling, or I'm lecturing, or I'm touring, I'm doing this, that. So my friends and my family are saying, we watch this show called The Masked Singer. I'm like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So phone call came into the office. They said, well, Flash, you know that show The Masked Singer? I says, no, I don't know it. They want you to be on it. So yeah, I went on the internet, saw some of the past episodes. I was like, the adult in me was like, man, fuck that shit. I'm too cool. Shit. But then, guys, when I want to relieve stress, here's what I do. It's like this Stella, there's Blake, and there's Sai, and there's Journey, and there's Sachi, and there's Leeling, and there's Bishmi, and there's Bernaya. Like the babies of the bunch I just mentioned, I sit down on the floor and I draw with them, I paint with them, I count with them, I do ABCs with them. And the older ones that are getting ready to go to college, I'm sitting down and I'm talking with them, but I'm making sure they understand everything they're getting ready to get themselves into. So that's like the childlike side of me. So my childlike side of me said, let's sign up. We get on the plane, land, we go on a set, right? I'm getting ready to jump out the fly ass black truck, right? They're saying, no, you can't wait. So I'm looking at Rip looking at me, what's getting ready to go down here. This is funky. This just don't feel right. They said, take off your clothes and put these on. So they put on this football Darth Vader cap and this overseas t-shirt and gloves over their hands. Says, now you can get out the truck. So I'm riding this whole thing, guys. I'm childlike. I'm like, okay, it's just the process. And then they saying, you got to go to vocal coaching because you're singing off key. I ain't no goddamn singer anyway. Vocal coaching, and then the suit. First time they put the suit on me, son, the shit was too heavy. It was hurting hurting my shoulders. So the designers pull that shit off me quickly, disappeared with the suit, came back 2 hours later. Okay, the suit is right. Now the motherfucking suit too hot. Take the suit back off me again. I'm like, okay, and they come back a couple of hours, they vent it. I'm trying to like walk in this bitch and I can't see. Take the suit back off me again. And they cut out the eyes, make it bigger. And I remember the producer saying, try to have, well, he said, polar bear, have fun with this. Now, mind you, I think I'm a pretty cool dude. How am I going to go out with this big monstrosity? The shoes were like size 85. How am I going to have a good time? And then as I'm walking down the runway, I'm walking, they like polar bear, polar bear. I think the audience got me to forget that I'm in this tent and don't be afraid. And I just kind of just went into my childlike and just went up there and did a little two-step, little something, and tried to just do a little something, sang off key and the whole shit. Probably was whack as fuck, but it really taught me that sometimes, we as adults, man, sometimes you gotta just be a kid sometimes. Especially us in hip hop, we mean face, the whole shit. I know how to put on my mean face, but I also know how to get down on the floor and in color and paint and say my ABCs and with my 3-year-old. I mean,
It was dope. It was definitely.
Thank you. And people were like, "Why did I do it?" Because I wanted to try a different experience, and that tested my manhood all the way up to showtime. Practice over again. Over here, you want a cup of juice? Put that stuff back on. You can't go out the trailer without it. I couldn't go anywhere. Couldn't go to the bathroom. Get dressed again. Take it off. I had to really okay, these people think they're my parents. I'm gonna play the game with them for this next couple of days because the end result was I had so much fun. I probably would do the shit again. It's fun, man. It was fun. It was fun.
Wonderful.
Can you talk a little bit before we get out here as well about your 10-part vignette series?
I did these vignettes, man, because we as a black race have to school all races that this thing called hip hop didn't just fall out of a tree. I carefully explained to people how I took something from nothing to make it possible to move the record like this. I say in my vignettes how I take duplicate copies of a record in one particular section and elongate the break so the human beings could speak on it. It's called rapping. I also want to make it very clear that before there was a human beatbox, the human beatbox was really a beatbox, a drum machine. Because if you come from a family that knows about rock, you best believe the parents is going to teach them about the Rolling Stones. If you come from a family of jazz, they're going to teach you about Miles Davis. Let's get the chronological things here correct too, because this is ours. Let's get this thing right. And love those who did that and love those now. Like me, I have no problem with explaining to people what the struggle it was to get here. But the thing about it, especially with the babies who are impressionable, the young people, I find it critically important that we show them that this is something that came from hard work and belief. Nothing. It's just why I lecture like I do.
Amazing. Whew.
Hip hop turns 50 this year. What does Grandmaster Flash have going on the rest of 2023? Where can we find you at? What kind of exciting things you got ahead of you?
Well, this year is like this great big wedding reception. And when I say it like that, it's like, you plan it, and there's the wedding. People's coming from all parts of the world to come to the Bronx because there's going to be concerts and parties and everything jumping off in New York City. I'm going to be in most of them, but some of them are still early in planning. I definitely want to talk about the Hip Hop Museum. we got to get that thing finished for all of us. Right now, it's in construction, but we're still looking for funding. We're still looking for money to get this thing built. We're trying to get this thing done by the end of 24, and that's the plan. So this will be ours, not somebody else's, ours. And
We need that.
That's the mission I'm on, man. Real talk.
For real.
Grandmaster Flash, we want to thank you for the opportunity to educate. This will be used as a tool for the children, as you spoke of earlier, to go back and view and learn and share. Before we get out of here, can you share your social media and where we can keep up with you moving forward? My
social media is, my Instagram is DJ Flash Forever. That's DJ FLASH, the number 4 EVA. And also I want you to go on Twitch every Thursday, 8 p.m. Instead of this week here, because I'm rebuilding the room and I'm trying to get into a stream and podcast room. So starting the next week after is QMT Radio on Twitch every Thursday, 8 p.m. And I'm looking for another date. And then other than that, I'm touring, I'm lecturing. You can go to my website, www.grandmasterflash.com. I'm starting a new record. There's a bunch of things I got my hands in. So, and once again, I want to apologize to you guys for taking so long.
Oh, no, it was well worth the wait. We appreciate the opportunity, like I said.
Flash, this was an honor. You are whether you want to accept that fully or not, this was truly a blessing. We're just sending blessings continually to you, family, and thank you so much for this opportunity.